I didn't have time to write a script. Hi, I'm Catherine. I'm a beginner game dev, and I am learning how to program by making 100 games in 2025. That was pretty good. At the time of recording this, I'm working on game number 16. By the end of the month, I need to have 25 done to be considered on schedule, and you'll see at the end of this video if I actually manage to make it that far or not. I'm making this little update because I wanted to show you guys my progress so far. I wanted to show you guys the games that I made, how I'm getting along. Honestly, I think it's been going swimmingly. It has gone fantastic. I am feeling very good about the progress that I've made. So let's get started, I guess. So the first game I made was Pong, right? I started by going through the curated list of the 20 games challenge, which you can find on GitHub. Started off with Pong, followed it up with Flappy Bird. After that, I did Breakout. I need to look at my list of completed games. Yes, I do. Right. What am I doing? I can literally show you. Hang on. Okay. Main 3. I'm pulling it up. Just be patient. Be patient with me. Right. Okay. So this is how many games I've done so far. I have received bug reports lately that have told me that some of them don't work. Which is funny because they were working in my browser. So skill issue, I guess. But let's see. So we got Pong, right? I see the problem now. It was working last week. Why is it not working all of the suddenlies? What does this mean? What do you mean? In that case, I'm just gonna pull up. I have an alternative. I have an alternative solution. Boop. Okay. This is completely fine and not at all scuffed looking. Right, so my first game was Pong. I did this. If you look closely, you'll notice that the ball always follows the same path with no variety. Yeah, this was difficult, but I made it. I made it and it works. The main thing that I learned from this was that I can actually do this, I can make games. That doesn't necessarily mean they'll be good by default, but I can make them, so I'm smart enough to do this. Also, here's a funny clip from me when I was streaming the game development process and I found a ridiculous bug. Instant replay. Let's see how long I can play against myself before I lose. Oh! Guess who just found an edge case? Guess who just found a bug? He caught it. It's not a bug, it's a feature. Yeah, you instantly win if you catch the ball. It's like dodgeball rules. Game number 2, thanks me. Okay, so Flappy Bird, right? I made Flappy Bird. You can see I put my little logo on it. Now, I had attempted to make a Flappy Bird clone before, a year or two ago in Unity, but then the Unity debacle happened and I was immediately scared off. So that actually kind of killed the momentum I had built up starting to learn game dev at that time. Yeah, and then I went ahead and I made Breakout, right? I really liked this. This was a lot of fun. This was the first one I made that felt like fun to play. It was challenging. There was an element of skill because I had angled the colliders on the board so that way you could hit with different parts of it in order to steer its direction a bit more compared to, don't look at that bug you just saw, compared to my other game, Pong. Yes, compared to Pong, you can actually make much more skillful choices in this one about where you're hitting the ball and how you steer it. And look at that glorious, beautiful. There was enough of a skill element to it that I was able to do things like that on purpose while trying to record this preview. So in conclusion, I really like this game. And I made it so that all of the bricks spawn in random formations, which is very cool. Game number 4. All right. So Hyper Game Dev was doing her Game Like Jam, and the first one that she picked was Frogger Lakes, right? So I made a Frogger game where the goal is that you're this little robot and you have to get from one end of the screen to the other to pick up what your mom requested. So she forgot to get the bread and she's at the checkout. So she's like, hurry, go get the bread. That's the premise. And you can see it is completely doable and it's not difficult at all. Yeah, see that was a lie because it's actually really difficult. I made it a little bit too arbitrarily difficult because I learned that when you're making a game, it's really easy to accidentally make it way too hard because since you designed it, you know everything about it and you're able to just win, right? Even though someone who's picking it up for the first time would have no idea what to do with it. Okay, this one was rough. This was rough. I would say that this is probably one of the like less polished ones that I did. This is an asset pack. I didn't draw these, but this is River Raid, right? I was trying to hurry to get this one done before Pirate Software's Game Jam at the beginning of the year, because I had already like made a promise to my team that I would be there, I would like do it with them, so it was a bit rough. You can see the plane just crashed into him and he didn't even die. Oh my gosh. These bugs, man. So, right. I was rushing to get it done before that. I ultimately didn't and had to come back to it after the 2-week game jam. So that set me back a bit because, I was working on one game for 2 weeks with, my game jam team, and it ate into my time, but honestly, we made something really awesome and I couldn't be more proud of it. That one's coming up here next, you'll see. All right, so this one was the game jam submission. Now, disclaimer, I did none of the programming for this one. I only did the art, right? Everything you see on the screen art-wise, that's what I did, right? Yeah, so I did all the art for it. I was working with a team. I learned how to use GitHub and like do a push and a pull and all that. So I did learn a lot from making this game, even if I wasn't learning the programming. So I kind of put it in front of my chat and was like, all right, guys, what's the vote? Can I count this toward my 100 games goal, right? And they said yes. It was a slim majority, but it was still a majority. But yeah, this one came out beautiful, and it was really great to be able to compare it to last year's submission that we did. We've all grown in skills so much, so it was, they say you shouldn't compare yourself to others. You should compare yourself to your past self, right? You should check your progress. It was really nice to be able to directly do that, right? We made something we were proud of, and we can definitely see the improvement. Each of us is kind of talking about maybe wanting to continue the game. That's going to take some figuring out, of course, if we wanted to develop it for a full release. I made all the heads separated from the bodies because they were supposed to be able to like move independent and kind of bob. You can see it's happening where the bobbing is like going, but something weird happened in the render order where the heads are rendering it behind the bodies, and so it's like it doesn't quite look right. If I had set it up where the animations were all baked in, we could have avoided that problem. So that's definitely something I could have improved on. Oh, but here's the twist to this game. You get to burn the customers. Yeah, that was how we worked in the theme. You are the weapon was literally that you would have a breakdown and start burning customers. Game 7. Okay, so this is just back to me programming, right? This one was like my most advanced character controller I'd made up to this point. Was, you've got the rotational movement, you can fly around and go around the map. You have 2 different like types of attacks that you do. You have your fire and your ice attacks. The enemies sort of interact with them differently. You can see that like the fire slime gets bigger when you hit it with fire. And so you have to hit them with their opposite type in order to break them apart. This was, of course, a little bit janky, and mostly in how the slimes broke apart was where my like jank kind of just got ignored. And I was like, I need to put this down to move on to the next game. You're a wizard fighting slimes, and it's asteroids, This was the first time I did screen wrapping. You can see that slime just wrapped around and took out the wizard. It's ultimately pretty fun to just spam little bolts around and spin in circles in this. Like, it feels fun to move around in this one, which was something that I was pretty proud of. It was interesting figuring out like the elemental typing, getting them to recognize when, like, if the elements were matching up or not, right? The purple ones are just able to be hit by either one, so it doesn't matter. What's next, right? We've made a lot of games since then, since I made this little preview here. Game 8. Okay. Game 8 was the dating sim, right? This was, it was like meant to just be like a visual novel dating sim where you date spices, or they date each other, right? But because I took so long making the dialogue manager, I had to sort of scope it back to where, okay, you're the chef who's just trying to cook a meal for their date tonight, right? I couldn't do all the writing that was necessary to like have multiple dates and things. Let's start cooking. This one was cool. This one's pretty cool because I made it where you have like multiple endings and it counts them, right? So basically, this is the dialogue manager I made where you can like look through text, right? You can pick a different recipe. You kind of get different text about all of them. So you can cook it and then you kind of get this like end thing where it tells you how it goes. And then, you know, boom, you got an ending. I made options that don't do anything. Yeah, I kind of ran out of time on that one. I did credit all of my Twitch chat helpers who helped me to figure this out. So that was a lot of fun. Twitch is really helping with the games in general. They're practically tutoring me. What else do we have? Right, this is the point as well where I like really started including music in games. Right, so this is the Grim Clicker, right? This one is just a basic cookie clicker type game, you know, an idle game. And this one was pretty interesting. Let me turn off the music, right? Yeah, my favorite part of this game is literally the sound of clicking the skull. This one helped me to figure out how to do like, you know, upgrades and shops and stuff, like being able to buy stuff like an auto clicker. I also used a lot of UI elements for like pretty much the first time. I guess technically the first time was in the dialogue manager, but this was like one that you can really play with. And it's also really terribly balanced and scaled. The scaling on this is awful. This game I also got a pretty rude comment on where somebody accused me of just uploading a template, so that was neat, but I did just make it myself. It just happens to be very raw. You could say it's a little bare bones. Moving on. Okay, this one, everyone seemed to enjoy how I named this one. It's literally just Snake. This one I followed a tutorial very closely on because I was really needing to speed up the rate at which I was developing games. I had to go fast. So this one I actually managed to make in one sitting, right? I just followed the tutorial and did it in a single 4-hour stream on Twitch. Obviously super helpful that I had a tutorial where somebody basically already had all the right answers and I was just kind of trying to follow their lead and do it. I still came across bugs. I still had to translate a bunch of stuff because they were using an older version of Godot. So it wasn't like just valueless copy pasting, you know? I had to rework a lot of it to fit with my version of Godot. But I feel like I learned a lot from the process and it was very satisfying to get something done quickly. That's good for the motivation, right? Especially when you just had somebody say something really mean about your little skeleton clicker game. I followed that up by making tic-tac-toe and I was like, don't worry, it'll be super easy. I'm just gonna make tic-tac-toe, and then I had to go and make it super difficult by making it ultimate super tic-tac-toe. So you can do against another player or against an AI, and the AI only sometimes cheats. You can choose your particular like mark, right? You just pick a different letter. So the way that this version of tic-tac-toe works is you click on an area and then it unlocks that area and then you make a move and you pick an area. And then the idea is that you want to get the most amount of wins because when you win an area, then you mark it, right? Ooh, he's getting close. Look at that AI go. Let's see if he can get it. No, okay. How many attempts do you think it'll take? Go down here. Okay, so the AI is not smart. It just kind of picks a random spot. All right, come on. No. Okay, it has several places where it can win. Come on, buddy. You can do it. You can do it. Yay. Okay, so there we go. The AI has now won the center of the board, which, you know, it's cool. It only cheats and breaks and falls apart and does crazy stuff where it does like 13 moves at once. Occasionally. It was pretty cool to make my first little like artificial intelligence opponent. It's really just like a script that just says pick a random space, and if that space is occupied, pick a different random space. Anyway, so this one was fun. I also managed to make this one in one sitting. I just picked up some assets off of itch.io. This one is a mouse only game and it has some, I'm gonna turn the music down actually. This music I felt like sounded both spacey and mousy. So you just control the mouse through the maze using your mouse pointer, and if you hit the walls, then it starts it over, right? Now, I was on a roll with this one. I felt really good about how fast I managed to get this to work and, you know, making like a system of like progressing levels. I felt like I set it up in a way that was really efficient and worked very quickly. I don't know if it's the best way to do it, but it managed to get me through 5 levels without any trouble. Listen to that music. Yeah, Tallbeard itch.io, pretty cool. Shout out that guy, probably doesn't need my shout out. At this point, we were into the first week of March and I was like, it's the 3rd month. Okay, this is my 3rd month in here, and I was just like, I should start doing 3D. I should get into 3D, because I'd only done 2D games up to that point. 3rd month of doing this, that means I gain a 3rd dimension. We're doing 3D games all month. So this is the condescending physics maze, and if you don't touch any keys, it'll flip over. And this is where you get the instructions from. It says, you really dropped the ball on that one. Try tilting the maze with WASD next time. Press R to restart when you're ready. So at that point, you can then tilt the maze and, you know, with the keys, like it says. Yeah, it's super duper finicky. That's kind of like the best part about it as a physics game, is that it is terrible in terms of being controllable. I dropped the ball. No. Okay, but if you get it to that X in the middle, then you win. Okay, so that one, again, this was a 1-sitting game. I made this just sitting down on 1 4-hour stream and I put it together. I was feeling really good. Like, I was starting to really catch up because I had fallen behind so much working on I Just Work Here and the Spicy Dating Sim. So I was really glad to be catching up as quickly as I was. And then I started this one. So the button room, right? I was having so much fun making it that I just wanted to keep going when I really should have just kept it minimal, right? So you start out in this dark void, right? Really quickly, I'm gonna press restart just to get my cursor locked in. But so, I'm in this dark void. There's a red light. What is this? E to interact. And it turns the lights on. So this was so much fun to do because there's all these buttons on the walls that do different stuff. We're in this aggressively pink room. There's this button up here that's like, ooh, what does that do? I can't reach it. Too bad I can't reach it, you know? So you've got things like survival mode. You can turn it on and it adds this table with food. I didn't remember to put any UI up to show you that you have health and hunger now. But if you try to switch it back off, it doesn't work. Oh, did I just crash? Oh yeah. So it doesn't work. The button breaks and falls off the wall. There's a little particle effect there. That was the first time I made a particle effect. You can also change your mouse sensitivity with these buttons. So like, if I hit this a bunch of times, it'll bring my mouse sensitivity up. If I do it down enough times, it'll actually invert the mouse control, where moving right brings it left. So pretty neat. But yeah, you can eat. This is the eat button to make sure that you don't starve. So here's win, right? Now all of these things I just modeled in Godot using their like basic mesh shapes. So like taking a cube and stretching it out, taking a cone, or no, taking a cylinder and kind of coning it a bit for some legs. I made a column, I made like a glass box like this. So the win button is clearly covered, right? You can't press it right now. So that you have to figure out how to uncover it. You can press this button, which deletes the floor, and drops you onto a really big button that restarts you up here. There's also a button that deletes itself. Very confusing, I'm sure. And then there's this one, which gives you a ramp. This ramp will take you up here, and you can open the win, right? You can see that the little box has tilted up, and then you can now press the win button, which does this. I'm glad that this is working. This ending wasn't working for a while there. Thank you for playing the button room demo. Yay. So I said demo on this one because I was planning on like expanding it because I enjoyed making it so much. But obviously I haven't had time to go back and do that. I might add a redeem, like a channel point redeem, to be able to like just tell me to add another button to the game. So let's go back. So I had so much fun making that one. I really enjoyed it. Moving on to game number 15. This was a pea shooter, right? My first FPS, right? I wonder why some of my older ones aren't loading. That's concerning. Okay, so same deal here. I'm just gonna jump off the cliff real quick to lock the cursor in the window, jump off the side of the map. I really should have just set up the restart function, but here we are. So basically, you've got this little pea shooter, right? And you can walk over this and fire a pea by clicking and holding. You can go pew! There was supposed to be some UI stuff, and I think it broke. Yeah, I'm missing some of the UI stuff now, but that's okay. That's okay. Yep. Come on, cans. I'm getting points like I'm hitting them, but they're not getting knocked over. I love that. Yeah, so I made a bunch of different types of targets for the specific reason that there's a lot of different ways that you could choose to set up stuff like this, and I wanted to kind of see the pros and cons, see where things sort of fall apart. And it's that if things are going fast, they tend to just like go through them. Again, this is also a browser game right now, so it doesn't have a lot of it doesn't have a lot of resources to work with. But it's pretty cool because I set up where like this can detect a headshot versus a body shot. I learned quite a bit about mostly how not to do a shooter is what this one taught me. But it was pretty fun making this little spinning ammo can. Look at it. It says peas on it. So I'm working on game 16 at the moment. Small preview window. I'm making like a third person view kind of game where like you do like sword fighting. So think of like Elden Ring, right? You know, like you're third person, you're slashing your little sword at people, right? But it's like rock, paper, scissors themed. So that little guy is a rock. He's working his way up to me and jump. See, he kind of threw himself at me. That's all I've got so far. That's all I've got. My husband just came home. Quickly. Okay, false alarm, we're good. It wasn't actually a false alarm. He did come home, but he was just picking something up and leaving again. I'm on game number 16. I need to have 25 done by the end of the month in order to stay on track, right? But this is only the first quarter, so I have a lot of time to make it up if I can't quite achieve that. I am going to be publishing this like at the end of the month, so I guess I will put here if I managed to do so. So if you enjoyed this kind of brand of like disorganized chaos, I stream pretty much every day. You know, it's supposed to be every day unless I feel shitty. I'll just say I stream every day from like 4 a.m. PST to 8 a.m. So it's an early morning thing. I do that on Twitch, and if you would like to pop by chat, say hi, you can totally do that. You don't have to help with the programming or anything, but I do take suggestions from chat. If you know a better way to do something programming wise, or if you just think that a different feature would be cool, or you want to vote on the next game I make, right? Follow me over there if you want, or you can wait another 3 months over here for an update. Anyway, in conclusion, I'm Catherine Godsey, and you can't stop me.